Can we turn the brightness?
Yeah.
I just started recording.
Hey everyone.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey Camilla. Bonsoir.
Sorry, I didn't realize everyone was there, so I was like making myself a snack. But
All good. What's your snack?
We'll never forgive.
I was gonna make cookies, but I've got peaches and yogurt. Be healthy. I usually make cookies during the call, but not today. Not in the mood.
Aww.
I know.
So, Camilla, why did you pick this classic film?
So I picked this classic film because I thought we needed more Meryl Streep in the film club. It's been a while. No, it's a good. I think it's an enjoyable film, and like with everything, I just kind of wanted to see what you guys would think of it. I feel like in film club we tend to pick kind of either more like not super commercially, like everyone and their mum would go to see it type films, or like action films and things like that. So I was like, I'm just going to go for something super basic because I myself am super basic and girly. And like The Devil Wears Prada feels very prescient. I think that's the right word for me at the moment because as I think everyone knows, I left my job at Christmas because my boss was awful. And then since Christmas, Emmanuel's new manager has been awful. And I feel like I've just got bad bosses on the brain. So it was one of the ones on the list, so I decided to go for it. Yeah.
To be fair, I can appreciate a bad boss.
Yeah, it's a shame everyone has had bad bosses in their time.
I don't appreciate.
I don't think I've had one who's as bad as Miranda, but I think she's just bad in a different way to Miranda.
I have.
To be honest, I'd probably prefer a boss like Miranda than the one I had.
Because at least you know what you're dealing with when she's like openly just kind of evil instead of like pretending to be nice. And one thing about the film as well that I found really interesting was what Andy feels about Miranda. And I think that also been relevant because I used to be a EA to the company's founders. So a bit like with Andy, how she kind of, you understand the person's, you got an understanding of their personal life and you know things that other people around you at work wouldn't necessarily know. And like, while it's a person you want to hate, you can't quite hate because you get them a bit too much. And also you just have to spend way too much time with them. And like, I think any job when like you're familiar with your boss's house is just always, it's just a very strange position to be in. But I found that Andy's a bit of a wet blanket, but I understand why she is. And I think the film represented that weirdness like quite well. Because it's how like she is so reluctant to say to what's his name, when Christian is like, just say Miranda's, I've forgotten what she said, he said, and Andy's reluctant to say it, and it's like, yeah, I get that. But anyway, sorry, bit of an all over the place opening statement. Who's next? I don't know if everyone's rated it, so I don't know if you can go around by who did it.
Oh yeah, we forgot.
I don't think I rated it.
Neither of us rated it.
Why are you no right?
Sorry.
I always forget.
Really bad memory. But no, I guess I'll go next. I liked it. There was I liked how it was done. A lot of little things. Like I know my favorite scene. But yeah, it was an interesting look into that kind of specific, like a reflection of that kind of person who existed in the real world, and kind of what are the things that were going on or could have happened, etc. While there were some annoying characters who made it really hard to watch at one or two points. Otherwise, I thought it was good. In general, I'm ready to have to. So someone else can go then.
Nice little pocket review.
Pat is the highest person. Oh, Simon, then Pat, the highest too.
Do you want to go first, or should I, Simon?
I'll be nice. It is a very like iconic film for what it is. It has all these sort of like character dramas for this sort of film. The characters are obviously our main lead is obviously Andy as Anne Hathaway, and the antagonist is supposed to be Meryl Streep, but admittedly speaking, she's not really the antagonist at the end. She's just a part of a character who is part of Andy's life in the story. I mean, admittedly speaking, I would say the antagonist is more of who is the secretary that's with her most of the time. Emily is more of the antagonist than Meryl Streep. Meryl Streep is just like Miranda. Yeah, she's just like, if I keep mixing up the actors and characters' names, I feel like I do that all the time. But I apologize. But like, yeah, her character is just like it's less of an antagonist, more like an obstacle she has to deal with every day, and every day is pretty much the same shit, anyways. Which is the very appropriate for being like working with a bad boss, because sometimes it's the same shit every day, and that's like I've been on both sides of that spectrum. I've been that annoying boss, but I've also had to deal with annoying bosses. So there's a different level of like boss level, which is like the more I say the word boss, it keeps making me think of video games, and it's just gonna jump on my mind. Which is worse because I know that there's two films that have the word boss in it, which is Boss Level and Bad Bosses, and it's just like, oh yeah, we could have chosen either one of those films to be like accurate for like the feelings for it. But it's like, yeah, it's a nice film. I remember watching it like once before, but that was interesting. All the good acting points that I give it is for Meryl Streep, and that's pretty much it. That's like, yeah, everyone else's acting was a bit, I don't know, maybe it's like you didn't see as much drama as it was. But to make it short, it's like it's a generally good film. Did I watched it again? Do I care to go watch the musical? Maybe not. Let's put it that way. It's like, do I want to watch it again? Give it like a year or two. I'll probably, if it's on TV or if I just pops into my feed, I'll probably watch it. Sure, that's the best way I can explain it.
I think by scores, then it would go to Pat next, I think.
I was since you said Simon had a better score, I was expecting a rave review for that. So I watched this some time ago. I think it was around the time where I think I was on a tear going through loads of films. It was in a small period of time where I didn't have a games console and I was purely watching TV and movies and stuff. I think it was like between leaving college and getting a job. And I come across this film and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like it that much, but what the hell. And I ended up enjoying it quite a lot back then, and I enjoy it just as much now. You could say that apart from Andy, not many of the characters are likable so much because they're all really bitchy. But I think that, like I said to Corey earlier, I think that's the thing that I got most enjoyment from, was just how bitchy everyone is to each other. Like there's a lot of like, I don't know if it's intentional or unintentional comedy in it, but like I found bits that were like really funny, especially some of the sort of straight-laced Meryl Streep stuff. Like it's so the sort of premise is so basic, so like it shouldn't really it's not like anything special. I can't remember what I scored story. I think it was like an 8. But I think the way the characters were played, I think that really, really shone. Simon's right, but most of the acting score is for Meryl Streep. Like when you see some of the other characters that she's played, like her roles vary so much. Like you go from her character in Mamma Mia, her character like this. I can't remember the last film that was with her in. And then you've got there's another film with her in that I quite like. Has anyone seen Lions for Men?
What's that?
It's a political thriller with Tom Cruise and Robert Redford. Like there's such a variance in her roles, and I took this as like, this is something completely different from what I've seen her in before. But I took great enjoyment out of it. Obviously, someone who's left the previous job because of circumstances partially down to management, let's say. She comes across as being an awful hard ass. I just think that's just personality of her character and the stress of the environment, because you got to think it's considered a frontline fashion magazine, and anyone that has any sort of insight into fashion's quite a tough business. Not that I have any stake in it, but I know people that have tried to delve into fashion, and it can be a rough place. And obviously she needs personal assistants that are so I could sort of understand where her character was coming from, even though she was a bit awful at times. But yeah, I thought it was such a good film. I was glad you picked it. From the moment I read back, I was like, oh, this will be fun.
You? I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, I had a great.
Fashion is quite a cursed industry. Just in, it's better now than it was then, because that was also the era of like unpaid internships and all the rest of it. And this is a film I also watched for the first time in college, in my first year of sixth form, and I wanted to go into fashion. I'd originally wanted to be a designer, and then I was thinking about fashion journalism, and then I watched this film, and I was like, if this is the way things are, then I cannot Like, I don't have the right type of personality for this at all. And then, like, obviously in the end, I did marketing. I never did anything in the fashion industry. And, like, I'm that far away from my degree now. I'm just like, no, I definitely wouldn't want to work in the fashion industry. And this film was a big part of being like, nah. And then having gone to being in the fashion department in my university, and then just growing up, like, in my 20s, like, knowing people, it's like, yeah, I definitely couldn't do it. It's such a pressurized environment, and it makes sense that she is the way she is, even though it's like, it's not good. And also, obviously, it's one person's perspective, but Anna Wintour is notoriously just kind of horrible. So,
fashion in terms of the pressure, it's probably got more pressure on it than like a high profile athlete. Like,
yeah,
if you look at, like, I'll take football for example. Like, football managers have a ton of pressure. So, like, if you don't win a certain amount of games, you're under pressure for your job. But, like, with that, you've at least got a spell of maybe 8 months to try and sort it out before they start putting pressure on you. With fashion, it's pressure from day one. So, like, you've got no sort of leeway to get your feet on the table. You've got to be performing or getting results there and then.
yeah. It's also a problem that, because, like, it's fashion, especially in, like, the upper echelons of fashion and photography and all of that, it's an art form. So it takes, like, the worst of the art world, because it's just like the turnover is so much quicker and it's so much more commercial, and it's accessible to everybody in a way that, like, whatever's happening in, like, Frieze Art Fair doesn't affect our lives as much as whatever happens in Fashion Month does, even if you're not aware of it. That, I think, it just kind of, it makes people a bit crazy, because it's like you take your art so seriously, but also, like, it's a massive industry and it's moving so fast, and yeah, it's not good. Cursed industry. Who's next?
Well, my score is low with bands. And Alec, is your score up yet? Or
I can't see a score for Alec.
No, still pending. I'm going through it right now.
It's good.
Technically, probably, but I fucking hate it.
Oh, I think Alec will come after me then.
I'm not surprised to hear that at all.
Yeah, I mean,
didn't, honestly.
I know it's probably a bit rich coming from me, but I'm I'm really struggling with how, like, horrible everyone is, and even I don't know, just I think just like, it's obviously, like, not. I want Anne Hathaway to have a bit more of a backbone, and I realise that's definitely the point, and that's definitely very well justified. And I think everyone's kind of been in a position where they're kind of stuck out a shit situation for a job. But I don't know, considering, like, how crucial Anne Hathaway is, like, later on, I just kind of found like a problem every time, just like Miranda or Emily are just, like, really fucking rude to her, and I was just kind of like, you're really lucky you're not dealing with someone who's like Rob or my dad, someone, because I'd just be like, nah, fuck off. But I don't know. I think I just naturally struggle imagining being that rude in America, where people might be armed and people might be crazy,
and I think like I couldn't picture just going like, "Hi, strange person coming into my office building." Yes, fuck you, you fat bitch. Like, just like why? I don't know. Why just lead with that. God, like that's like the last thing. I don't know. Just like the last thing you want in America is a hostile work environment. But yeah, I was just like every time Andy does like is someone who doesn't leave, I'm just kind of like, you were really fucking lucky there, because yeah, she could have very easily left, and then yeah, you kind of like that heavily sort of impacts like your ability to be successful and stuff like that. So I'm yeah, struggling with that, and I'm actually really not sure how much like the ending like works, because like it's got the I don't know, it's kind of doing the whole thing where Miranda's like, "Ooh, you're becoming me. You're only a hop, skip, and a jump away from where I am." And I really wanted Andy to just kind of like turn around and go, "Babe, there's actually like a fucking wide gulf between me and you right now." She's like, no, because you sold out Emily for your job, and that's just like what I did to Stanley Tucci. And I just wanted to be like, no, actually, Stanley Tucci was like your long-standing friend who you fucked over when you have like, you could go anywhere and have any job you want really with no difficulty. You're in such a position of power that you're actually not, by losing this job, you kind of don't lose anything. Whereas me, Andy, I've only got this, as people are very willing to remind me. And also, Emily was never a friend to me. Her saying thank you to me doesn't like make her my pal and everything. She's actually a fucking dickhead to me, like all the time. Since I started here, she's all the time. Even like when helping me would help her, she's still laughing at my misfortune, and she's still going like, "I can't wait to see you fail." And I'm like, you know what? It's okay to throw someone under the bus for your job if they're doing that to you. You should definitely, like, you're not a bad person for doing that. But she's like, yeah, that's how it starts. And I'm like, no. There's a wide gulf between that and being unnecessarily horrible to people who work for you. Like, I'm obviously not under the impression that this doesn't happen, and this doesn't happen in the fashion industry, because like I had a boss like it before, but like yeah, I think it thinks like it's making like a much stronger point than I think it is, and it's kind of yeah. Oh, sorry, I've obviously gone on a bit long, but it's like the bit that really annoyed me was after she had a go at Andy for not being able to organise a flight in the middle of a hurricane. And then she goes to Stanley Tucci about it, and Stanley Tucci goes, "Look, mate, she's just doing her job." And I just wanted her to go, actually, that's not part of her job at all. Belittling me and calling me fat because I couldn't fucking fabricate a plane out of my arse in the middle of a hurricane, that's actually not her doing her job at all. That's her being fucking unnecessary and cruel. And but I don't know, no one ever offers like another point. So no one goes, actually, Stanley Tucci, I don't think you have information. I think you probably need to consider the context of what happened, actually, because it's not acceptable, and it's not all right, and it's not just her doing her job. So yeah, like, and I think that's kind of a running theme for me, where she's going like, yeah, this is like a necessary part of this, and I'm like, no, none of what you're doing is necessary. It's just horrible for the fucking sake of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Very fair points.
Thank you. Sorry, I went on a bit.
No, it's fine. I would say on the end, I think the problem with the ending is that, like, I don't think it was fully thought through enough, because the true story and the fictionalized book ends with her being fired. So all of that doesn't happen, and I think the build up to that happening is very different. So I think like they really wanted to get the conflict between the editors, like the editor-in-chiefs in, but also she needed to leave at some point and I don't know. I've not read the book, so I don't know kind of how it was originally supposed to go. But I think one of the reasons it doesn't quite work is just because it's like there needed to be kind of like a happy ending for Andy. Because there's even like the weird conversation with her boyfriend / ex where it's like, are you together or are you moving to Boston with him or what? And it's just like, that's not how any of that played out in the actual original story. And I think it probably just wasn't thought through enough for the final cut of the film. But personally, I still liked it. I totally agree. It's really annoying that nobody ever just tells her that she's out of line in any way. No one ever calls her out on anything. And that's really, really irritating and frustrating to see. But then on the other hand, it's really depressingly realistic. So
yeah, the bit where Emily's going like, love my job, I love my job, I love my oh god, you poor bastard. I don't know. I just came away from a lot of it just going like, this is making me so fucking sad.
Yeah,
because obviously I know this is kind of depicting the fashion industry, like, you know, a while ago, but just seeing that and seeing people starve themselves and seeing like Meryl Streep call Anne Hathaway fat, and I'm just like, how many young girls got a fucking complex about that? Like the first time they saw it, like Jesus.
Dissertations have been written about the impact of the fashion industry calling someone fat because they're a size. Because that's the thing. She's a 6 and everyone else is a 4, which is like, you could eat your dinner and go from a 4 to a 6 just because you're a bit bloated. Like it was absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, fashion still had a moment. It still has a massive image issue. That even though that's completely absurd to most normal people, it's like, it would have been weird had that not been the way that Miranda spoke about people, because especially at that time, that's definitely how things were. Like, they're coming out of the Kate Moss, nothing tastes as good as Skinny Feels era of fashion. Like, it was bad. It was bad.
Yeah.
It's very depressing.
I'm gonna hang back now, reel my neck in.
Yeah. So I guess I could go next. Okay. So I do have something to say about how like bodies come into how our bodies are talked about in the movie, and it is of course very relevant to the fashion industry still today, of course. um but yeah, to start in a more broader point, this movie, I saw it ages ago, and I must have been really looking forward to it because I actually remembered when I was rewatching it this time that I think I read the book, but it was so long ago that it's all pretty a vague memory. But I do remember when what triggered the memory for me was like, I remember having a different idea of Miranda in my head than how Meryl Streep played it. But that's unfortunately, it was so long ago, so I don't know. I unfortunately I can't remember much of the book. I wish I could remember the part of the ending because I didn't know. And anyways, it just makes sense that this movie is an adaptation because yeah, it's not, the story isn't as like nuanced and fleshed out as I would hope it would to be. I guess, you know, a common problem is like movies trying to fit in as much as they can, but and also change so much stuff. It really bugs me. Adaptation, like movie adaptations are often really disappointing in my experience. So, but anyway, it's I was watching this more from just like a movie experience because it's been so long since I read the book, obviously. Anyway, and so like this genre in general is not something that I'm like drawn to. But they do get it right sometimes, and it can be really fun and enjoyable. And I wasn't very much looking forward to watching this, but I enjoyed it more than I remembered I did the last time. I think a lot of that was due to just like the core storyline in its bones being so relatable. Andy feeling like she's like over her head and out of place, and her boss is scary as hell. Miranda's terrifying. Like I could feel terror just watching Andy experience Miranda. Um, and Andy handles it way better than I would. I'd be crying all the time. um, so yeah. And in terms of, so yeah, the relatability in the story was there for me. Um, the acting on the acting end, yeah, I did briefly mention that Anne Hathaway is not um up there in terms of favorite actors for me. But Meryl Streep is, and actually, do you know what? Like, I don't know. I feel like this movie, I struggle with just like knowing what it is, like knowing what they're going for. They're not going for like this like serious, um nuanced piece of art. They're going to for something a bit more straightforward, quote unquote basic, as you might say. and uh and so I struggle because like I just know that like based on, I think I really enjoyed the book, so I think, and with the casting that this had, it had the potential to be something even better, I feel like. So but adaptations are difficult, so I give it that. But even like, I think I love Meryl Streep, but I think even I didn't enjoy her acting in this as much as I have in other things. Probably because just like again, like this isn't my go-to genre of movie. Um, but uh, yeah, I still, I enjoyed it more than I remembered I did last time. It gave me chuckles. Like there's some good humor. Um, and like seeing like I gave it a higher score for purpose because it talks about something that a lot of us can relate to, and I think is like a major issue, to be honest, in like Western society, is like work life balance, and how much it could really get messed up with your like relationships, and like, and we see it in even her Andy's like body image and weight, and that's a whole other conversation in itself. Like I remember thinking that it was kind of sad to, but also very realistic to see her kind of literally shrink to fit in. um but seeing Emily Blunt literally like say she wasn't eating, and when she felt like she was gonna faint, she was gonna eat a cube of cheese. And I was just like that's shocking. And it's like, unfortunately, I do know like that I'm sure that somebody has actually done in real life, has actually done something like that. And so, and it's really, I just know that like those issues are really like a serious prevalent problem um in our society, and like stuff like that, how the movie framed those things. I think like I would hope that like a modern movie would kind of treat those issues with a bit more um thought. I think like that's, and that it's not just that movie, that's like that this is an older movie problem. Like I think of another like thing where me and my sister were watching uh, this kind of genre of movie as young kids, and those little things can be planted in your mind when you're really young and formative. And it's just like, I just know that this movie is the kind of thing that a lot of young people would enjoy. I recall my younger self, parts of the movie that I really enjoyed. I just felt like a little kid watching. So um yeah, so for what it is, I think it was pretty well done. I think the packaging is not my personal taste, but it had a lot of like like goodness in its base. And so yeah, I enjoyed it. I have a couple favorite scenes to talk about later, and yeah, not too bad. Not too bad at all.
No, you made a really good point though, Corey, about the kind of old movie problem that there's things that I just wish it was a bit more critical of it. Like with all the body shaming that goes on, I feel like in a lot of films, not in a lot of films, there's always an opportunity just to do something in the film to kind of like demonstrate this film does not, we making this film don't agree with this mindset or agree with this behavior. But it's all like this, when Emily says about the cheese, it's literally just taken as like, I just ate an Oreo. Oh, I ate a block of cheese, so I didn't faint. And it's like, what? Like, what? And a good example of that when you were talking about older films was Bridget Jones. How, like, the whole of Bridget Jones is like, oh, this fat girl. And she's like a size 12, which is, it was average at the time. And it's now smaller than average. And it's just like, I really wish that it might have taken the moment to like criticize some of these things. Like it kind of would have missed something in a fashion film for that, especially a fashion film set in the early 2000s, set and made in the early 2000s. I don't know when the book takes place or when the woman's experiences were, but like the body shaming and fat phobia is going to be there, but at least be critical of it. And yeah, that's the thing that I definitely I don't think I got that in earlier watches. I've not watched the film in ages. It's probably been like 6 or 7 years, I think. And I think that's the thing that I definitely immediately picked up on. Like in that first time you hear Meryl Streep speak, it's like every single sentence she comments on somebody's body. And it's just like, wow, like I did not clock that before. And hearing it now, it's just like, it's kind of disgusting to hear it.
Yeah.
So many years ago. And yeah, I'm really glad that I'm not a teenager. And I watched it at 17, so I feel like I was kind of too young to be impressionable at that point. But if I was younger, it may well have been an issue. Although I was very skinny, so I probably wouldn't have. I probably would be like, oh, am I too skinny? But yeah, fashion messes with your body image and your sense of self.
Yeah.
I think that's the main sticking point, though. That is that the film doesn't point it out really, and there is that it seems to sort of frame it as like this is a necessary evil, and it's like no, it's not, not at all. And it's like it's kind of like oh, okay, she was mean, but Andy came away from it a better person, and she got what she needed to in the end from it. So in that sense, it was all worth it. And I was like, I really disagree with that framing. I really don't agree that you need to be mistreated. You need to endure being mistreated to get anywhere. I'm just like, really, just not a great message there. Don't. Not sure it's the one you were trying to make, but it's the one you've kind of made. Go on, son.
Oh no! So I was going to say, I agree with you saying to the point where I think if they did actually make a point about saying about it was Stanley Tucci's character who literally said, "Yes, because I think they were standing in line getting like lunch or something, and they're like, yes, this is the industry that cares about inner beauty in the most sarcastic way." And it was like, yeah, what did you think this place was about, darling? No one really cares about that stuff. This is about vast industry, how fashion is, and like the changing industry that keeps constantly, changing as the way that fashion does. So it's like, it's less that I feel like they don't care. It's more I feel like they knew. But it was like, yeah, what did you think this film was about? Which is, I think, as you guys were making the point on saying, it's like, yeah, it's a thing that because I sort of didn't realize it's sort of based on the book, based on real like experiences. So it might have been how she experienced it as well. But it's like she starts off with like, this is the industry. It's kind of not good for being nice. Oh, I think it's kind of toxic. Let's just say that it's the way that the industry is as it is, especially in 2006 when this film was being made as well. I think we've had this conversation quite a few times now. How the point of like image and like the point of like certain let's say body stereotypes get used in like early 2000s films, and it's like, oh yeah, it's a bit icky now if you think about it. But it's like, yeah, it's never a point that it's never touched on because it was the norm, I think. But nowadays it's a bit more, you know, it's of like, you know, you get with the times. The norm is everyone is normal. You don't need to like you don't need to try to argue with a girl who is like, you know, who is a size 6. Then after that one point where she's in Paris and talking to Stanley Tucci's character, is like, oh no, size 4. It's like, oh, really? Wow, it's amazing. And it's like, no, you didn't need to like starve your. You didn't need to like change your body. I don't think that was the point of. Yeah, I was like, oh Christ, it made me go. It made me annoyed because like the character was annoyed. It annoyed me, but I was like, oh, but I feel like this actually makes sense because of like how like the peer pressure and all the other stuff would have happened for that character. Which is, I guess, the best way to say it is like this. I'm glad I'm not a teenage girl watching this. I feel like I would have. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not a teenage girl. It's probably the best way to say it before watching this. Yeah. So much stuff that happens. What?
I was so glad to not be a teenage girl. The second I turned 20, I was like, thank God that is over. Being a teenage girl it's not for the faint of heart. It's really difficult. Especially in the 2000s, it was like the worst time.
Yeah.
Well, I guess maybe the 90s were worse, but it was a bad time.
I don't know. I can't imagine just kind of like you go, who's the stand-in for the average woman, and who like people are gonna like criticize the body of throughout, and you go Anne Hathaway, and it's like, oh yeah, this very pretty like just snake woman. I'm just like, yeah, she's the fat girl, and I'm like, fuck me, like the amount of people with complexes and that just going like, God, Anne Hathaway's like, you know, the flaw of this, and it's like, oh, not even as half as pretty as that, and it's just like, oh, this, just yeah.
You just remind me of the Barbie movie when I can't remember the line when she says something. It's when she goes to see Weird Barbie, and she says something, and then Helen Mirren then erases like, just if you're gonna make this point, Margot Robbie isn't the person to like this.
I think this is the problem. This is the problem. Oh, I was just going to say, this is the problem with fashion in general. Like, I think the way it was depicted was probably accurate, where like sort of young, pretty, slim girls are sort of put pressure to get even smaller. But it's you look at some of the people in that industry, and I just think of like, if you think of like bigger actors, like you're not really going to like say Melissa McCarthy in that role. Not sounding horrible or anything, but like she isn't sort of that sort of body type that they end up hiring in the industry. It'd be like hiring me as a I don't know 100-meter sprinter. It just doesn't happen, kind of thing. So it seems it seems like it creates more harm. And to be fair, the industry does create more harm, where it creates like healthy girls into sort of Kate Moss style bodies, and Kate Moss has never looked all that healthy because the industry forces her to be skin and bones. I do think it's something that it needs to get away from, because sometimes slim doesn't necessarily mean healthy. It's dependent on body type and stuff. So I think if you look at it from a more serious angle, there's plenty of problems. But I think with this film, I was more watching it on an entertainment purpose. And I just, like, I think everyone knows that I like Mean Girls a lot. And I think I've just taken a liking to sort of chick flicks where there's a lot of bitchiness in it.
I think an important talking point. This movie does hit on some like really serious prevalent issues continuing on today, but like talking about body shapes and sizes. And what I think one of the more valuable things I've learned as I've gotten older is that you can't look at someone and determine their health. And we all have like a shape and size of health is different for everybody. So yeah, but I think once I start hearing something about like you're not eating anything and then you're eating a cube of cheese when you're gonna faint, that's the stuff
Yeah.
where it's just like that's clearly unhealthy and not sustainable. So yeah.
I think just sorry, go on, Pat.
No, go on.
I was just going to say, on the topic of fashion and bodies, one of the problems with fashion is that it's impacted / causes trends just as culture changes. So after in the 2000s, kind of as a correction to the absolute wild kind of normalized eating disorder culture, there was a lot of changes were made and things tried to be put in place about like the weight of models on the runway and blah blah blah, and how people are talked about. You will now see people of all shapes and sizes working at fashion magazines, and the body shaming isn't as bad and it's not as rampant, just because, especially now, trends are there's so many different types of bodies that are acceptable. There's still kind of there's still kind of norms within that, and different bodies within that aren't deemed acceptable, but the definition of what's acceptable by the fashion industry has broadened a lot, and we're actually at I feel like quite an unfortunate point where it feels like people have been commenting that the last few seasons, that it feels like changes that were made in the 2000s and 2010s are starting to go backward again more recently in terms of the sizes of models, and the attitudes towards more mid-sized bodies. I feel like plus size is its own battleground, but there's plus size models that are treated quite well. But so there's that, and then also kind of mid-size and straight size, which is a nonsensical term. We're now finding again that kind of what's acceptable is starting to be rolled back, but there was a moment of maybe like 12, maybe 15-ish years where it was almost felt like things might get better. But in the context of the film, that line, the horrible line about the block of cheese, the cube of cheese, was probably a direct quote from someone who said that to her. Because that, is the culture at the time. Which is just, it's a shame. It's such a shame. Sorry, go on. I don't think we're done with opening statements, but I don't remember what we're up to.
I only wanted to make a comment on the plus size model thing. Like, I've seen, like, obviously I don't go watching Catwalks or anything like that, but I see a fair amount of stuff on TV. But I see a lot of people that are labelled as plus size model, and I'm like, what is the definition for it? Because, like, they obviously say plus size models are like overweight people, right? Or am I wrong in that sort of?
No, it's not. I mean, you could put it that way, but overweight and dress size aren't the same ways of measuring something. I think in the UK, plus size is from 16 over, or it might even be 18 and over.
Yeah.
And then like a UK 12 is that. So a UK 12 is equivalent to an American 6, I think. And then most models like on the catwalk are nowadays a UK 6. They probably would have been a UK 4, which wasn't even a normal size you get in shops. For context, I'm an 8, so they're smaller than me, but like mid size would be like 2 sizes above me, and then plus sizes. But I don't think that's how it actually works in terms of buying clothes. Like if you're in the plus size department, I don't know what size that starts from, because obviously I don't shop in that part of the shop.
Yeah, because I've looked at it, right. They call this person a plus size person, but as far as I can tell, they're just a normal size person. They look. I know we've had this discussion about like different sizes doesn't mean that you're unhealthy or healthy or regardless, but like this person looks pretty good, but they're considered fat by the industry. Like if you go based on how it was in the 90s, I'm like, I'd just get rid of that sort of terminology. They're all models at the end of the day, aren't they?
Yeah.
I'm probably nice about it, considering that it's quite a cutthroat industry. But
I was about to say that you're being like normal people who would see some of the plus size models like that's considered plus size. What's normal size, quote unquote? I mean, like it's
too woke.
No, fucking Jesus Christ! It's one of those things where I mean it's because of how the fashion industry changes. It's the very Oscar Wilde. I mean, especially us, will be very Oscar Wilde about it. You know, I can't quite remember the quote. So if I add a little bit, I apologize. It's something like once Oscar Wilde was asked, "What do you think about fashion?" And he's like, "Fashion is something that's so intolerable that it has to change itself every 6 months." And I'm like, "Oh, right, yeah, that's how the fashion industry is." Because every 6 months, everything has changed, everything is different. It's new again. I was like, yeah, but what's wrong with the other stuff? Was actually kind of fine. So why did you change? Yeah, it's like it's an interesting thing to see how it's like constantly changing and stuff. And like I guess that's also part of how fast fashion is. And like how it influences like everything else, but like to a certain point, it's like it's a certain point where it's like it gets like too excessive, and like this is I don't know if the movie is about excess or like the industry is about excess, because some of the stuff that they were it's the scene where Stanley Tucci is taking Anne Hathaway into like the extra closet, and he's like grabbing like clothes from like going, oh, we'll just grab this one, we'll just grab that one, we'll just grab this one. And I'm like, I heard the brand names, I'm like, he just like grab like Jimmy Choo's as a spare pair of fucking slippers. Jimmy Choo shoes are fucking like $1,000 each, and he's like, is she even allowed to? I mean, it's like one of those things where it's like, I don't care about too many brand stuff, but like even I know like some of these shoes are like, it's like grabbing Air Jordans and going, oh, can I just grab a pair of Air Jordans? I go grab like fucking like. That's like me going to a computer store going, let's grab a couple of Macs of an RTX 300. Oh, yeah, that's the new motherboard from my new laptop. Yeah, that's it, yeah. Is she allowed to do this? It's just like very extreme about it. I don't know if that's how that industry works. Because if that industry works as shown in the movie, that explains why everything is so expensive and yet so easily disposed of afterwards, because shit just gets thrown away, and it's like, oh yeah, the Gucci pumps, you can take those, no one cares. It's like fucking hell. It's like
that's a different topic we could touch on too. The cost of something versus the value of something. But yeah, I did want to quickly say a bit about how like the fashion industry and also the entertainment industry. So industries that are like surround like a core part of their appeal is like appearance. Like they're in a way in their own bubble of like standards and versus just like the average person standards where their lives do not surround around appearance. So I like what going back to say like what the fashion industry and the entertainment industry would consider plus size is more just like average size in like the real world. Um just wanted to briefly touch on that. And I think in Canada here, I think plus size is anything above a size 14. So yeah, it's like fashion based. It's a fashion based idea, like size based, clothing size based idea. And honestly, in terms of just like what is overweight and BMI and all that stuff is those ideas are always constantly in flux, and the idea of health and body size are always changing and growing in terms of the science and medicine of it all. But yeah, and I think Canada sizing too. While we're at it, I think it's like a Canadian size 14 would be like a UK size 16 probably, if I'm thinking of that right. But yeah,
Just had a look. They're the same apparently.
what's that? They're the same?
I just had a look, and apparently Canadian sizes are the same as UK sizes.
Oh, is it American size that are like one different?
I think American sizes are 2 different, but I might be mixing that up.
Okay. I think it can't be. I don't think it'd be 2 different because I have shopped in the States, so I think we're similar to the States, so yeah, probably wouldn't be too off.
Is this the same thing for shoes as well? Because like I think I've heard like, oh wait, yeah, I'm a UK size like 11, but I'm on a US size 45 or something, and it's like, wait, that's the numbers jumped a lot. I don't understand the numbers.
45 sounds like a European sizing.
Yeah, it's the E.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. The European sizes as well. It's confusing. I'm sorry.
I tried on. I'm selling off some old clothes, and I tried on 2 pairs of trousers that are the exact same size. Apparently, they were both like EU 37 or something like that. And I was selling the blue ones because they're too big; they look ridiculous. And then I tried to put on the other pair so that I could take a picture to like post on Vinted, and I couldn't get them up my thighs. And they are the same size. They're from different stores, and also one of them is vintage, one of them is like 3 years old, but they are the same dress size. But
vintage size
literally could not get them up.
Yeah, so like
Weird.
What I learned about vintage sizing is like there's something called vanity sizing. So like if you were to measure with a measuring tape, like a size 12 from like the 50s, it would measure smaller than a size 12 from today, is what's happened. And it's like,
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of smoke and mirrors. like
Also, these vintage trousers are from the 90s.
which ones?
The vintage trousers are from the 90s, which is now considered vintage, which is a whole.
We're old as fuck.
See, I keep getting that with clothes that I bought previously. I found that the sizes kind of like they shrink. You know, clothes that I bought like when I was younger, they don't fit me anymore, and that's a conspiracy against me personally.
Real quick, sorry, Ben, did you want to do your opening statement? Because I don't think you did yours.
He's just vibing. He's just hanging out. He's being a cool guy.
Yeah, hanging in my very loose clothing.
All right, fucking skinny bitch.
Because this weirdly you mentioned the clothing. This shirt that my friend from work, Lincoln Park Hybrid Theory, they go across is nice, but it's apparently it's a small, but it on me it looks like it's a large because it's kind of like the sleeves are kind of like really low and the waist is really big. So this must be like American sized. Like what the hell's going on? So I don't know where she got it.
In different what's become more confusing now is like there's different fits, like t-shirt style. So like there's like
yeah,
fit and like relaxed fit and all this stuff. So
and loose baggy I'm assuming it must be that because it even though it is a small, it does not feel it. It's way too loose. But I'm into fashion. I don't have the mind for it like Camilla might have.
Different brands have different like ways of cutting and proportions and stuff like that. So there's always variation. Also, sizes have changed just as they've added more sizes and taken away more sizes and revamped how things and stuff. But yeah.
It's confusing. This is Boohoo Man, by the way. It's not like some random American brand. So it's like in regards to this film, it is very good. Kind of like I would say that this isn't really my sort of film, but I do appreciate what it was going for, and I can totally get why you can really connect to it so much because of like the story and how it's kind of presented and literally the struggles Anne Hathaway has to go through to get where she wants to be and every single thing that she has to kind of sacrifice to get the career she wants. And the themes of it being like, which you guys mentioned, is like, what is more important to a person? Is it like a good solid relationship or a career? And it's kind of like she chooses the career over her boyfriend and her relationship. And I feel that this is quite a significant thing that most of us probably would never do. Choose your career over your family and friends and stuff. It really it suffers her character quite drastically because of it. And I feel like sure she becomes, what's interesting about the film is that she has this arc where she starts off quite timid and demure, and she seems very shy and mousy at first, but as the film goes on she kind of like, no, I'm gonna prove myself, I'm gonna figure this out, and I'm gonna kind of like show my boss who's boss, so to speak, and just literally prove to everyone that she can do the unthinkable, the impossible task, and she proves time and time again she can do it. And it just shows you how talented and how innovative she is as a person. But the greatest cost to it is her relationship with her boyfriend, and that is the worst sin she could make. And it's kind of like she does learn the lesson in a sense, but I feel she doesn't learn it hard enough, maybe. I think maybe that point Alec mentioned about the ending, it kind of like, not so much it just ends, but it kind of like, well, she yeah, she still gets on with, you know, I can forget his name, the mentalist guy. You know the guy I'm talking about. The blonde hair, blue eyes, perfect man she meets. Kind of like she still somehow has another fling with another guy. So kind of like her sacrifice is kind of in vain because she still kind of gets out on top in some ways. That's my reading of it. It might not be correct or anything, but it just feels like despite her succeeding in her career and proving to Meryl Streep and Emily Blunt, both of their characters wrong in every sense of the word, she kind of still has to have the other thing where she says, yep, she gets the perfect man and everything, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, would it have been enough to just have ownership of herself as a person and to winning life by her skill set. Excuse me. But yeah, it's.
I don't think a lot of the boyfriend. I don't think a lot of the boyfriend either. She was
the original boyfriend.
Like, yeah, just you saying like, oh, he did. She lost him and everything. I'm just like, yeah. I found him quite unreasonable. To be
fair, I didn't vibe with him much at first either. He seemed a bit too kind of caricaturally perfect in a way, kind of thing. He was like, yeah, I'm a chef.
Basically, every scene they have, he's talking about how they're all going on about how they used to live on potatoes when they were at college, and how it's really hard for them to get a job, and they all have jobs that they think are shit and everything. And then, yeah, he has like a birthday which she's planning to go to, and then Miranda's like, we need to go to this event and I need you here with me. And she's like, yeah, I'll try and get away. And then everyone's like, oh, fucking hell, always going on about your job. And it's like, you know about the job. You're all aware of how severe Miranda is. And you've all gone, wow, yeah, this job's really, really cool. We get all this free shit. It's all really, really expensive. They're all fun and games when they're getting shit. But then as soon as Andy's like, this is kind of the cost of it, is I have a severe boss who will like fucking fire me at a minute's notice if I don't do what she wants. And then they're all like, oh, you can't come to my birthday? Oh. And then like, yeah, she gets in and like, Nate's just I'm going to bed. And I'm like, oh, God, what do you want her to do? She'll just, I'll just quit my job, shall I? I'll just quit my job so you can have a birthday and then we just go back to not being able to afford the rent. Fucking eat a dick. Like, what is... Oh, I hate him.
Well, I didn't hate him, but I kind of still felt sorry for him that, like I said before, it's like, no job, no matter how damn good it is, should affect the love of your life or any relationship you have. And it's kind of like...
You could easily make that scene so much more devastating if he was like, I understand. I'm sad. I understand. Let's go to bed. Like, kind of thing. And then she can feel even worse because, like, he's not even fucking angry about it.
Yeah.
It's because he's angry, you can be like, fuck you. Because he's not even, but because he's like, yeah, if he was just like not even angry about it, he's just like, I understand, you're going to get through this, like, kind of thing. She could feel even worse about it. It could be horrible, but it's not.
Yeah, okay, I get that. Yeah.
With the ending in particular, I don't think I liked how vague it was. But they are making a sequel, so who knows?
Are they?
Yeah, my brother told me about it. My brother loves the film. He loves it more than I do. But my brother's a very much a chick flick person, as I've mentioned before. And he's like, "Oh, did you know that they're making another one with the same cast?" I was like, "Are they?" I thought this film was like 30 years old or something.
Has you read that on 4chan?
Is it going to be called God Wears Gucci?
There are two book sequels to this.
Oh, okay. At least they've got grounds for it.
But yeah, I forgot about that. I'm always just morally opposed to people doing sequels for films that came out stupid amount. Like, I don't care how much I like the original film. If you make a sequel 15 years later, I'm not watching it.
Like the Freaky Friday sequel coming soon to cinema.
Wait, there's a Freaky Friday sequel, not like a remake, because like a remake makes
the sequel.
Freakier Friday.
Here we go again. I'm like, you stole the tagline of the second Mamiya film. Like, come on, try harder. Also, Bridget Jones, I only acknowledged the first two movies. Whatever happened after that, I don't care. Like, it's a firm policy I have. I don't watch sequels.
I draw a line.
Yes.
Draw a line with Bridget Jones. I hate the films.
No,
In terms of sequels, like I'm going to go back to sort of the genres that I really like. So Top Gun was made in 1986. You didn't need a sequel. It was a perfect one and done film. And then a couple of years ago, they brought out a sequel, which was arguably better than the original for some people. Obviously, I've got nostalgia, so I'm going to say 1986 was better. But sometimes I do get what you're saying. I think if you've had a film out that's been out for 20, 30, 40 years, and it hasn't had a sequel, don't bother. But if you're going to do it, make sure you don't half-arse it. That'd be my only thing. So if they are actually going to go through with the sequel for this film, they're going to have to make sure that they're invested in it, because it might take away from the legacy of the first film. I mean, if you talk to Alec, you'd be like, well, there's not much to go on then, is there?
Yeah, fair enough.
They've got the resources and all of these elements to make a fantastic film, then do a new story. Like, why? There's so many ideas and there's so many great things, like, in the production graveyard. Like, why can't we have new ideas? Don't rehash something that was resolved 15 years ago. Because
Hollywood loves money.
Yeah. Hollywood is. I was about to say, Hollywood is the way that Hollywood is. It's pretty much the same as the fashion industry. It just uses same materials again and again and again. Heck, that's the reason why they have like a Beetlejuice sequel, isn't there?
Yeah.
Well, this is what I was going to say. So when my mum was dating someone from California, this bloke's cousin, I had a conversation with him. He said at this point in time, and this was back in 2002, I think, that Hollywood was running out of ideas. I think if you fast forward it 20 odd years, that's probably much more of a thing now, because all you're seeing now is sequels of, well, what's it they call it? Legacy sequels. You've got Beetlejuice, you've got Top Gun, you've got Gladiator, you've got whatever coming in the future. I don't know what else they're going to do. But they're also remaking or rebooting everything. Like, I know it's not a popular topic because of a certain author, but you've got Harry Potter being remade into a TV series, which will probably suck. Like, there are so many books out there that could be great adaptations. There's even like video game stuff or anime stuff that you could probably look at. I know history of anime and live action doesn't really go hand in hand that much, but like you've got so much content out there that's begging to be adapted, or you've got talented young writers or talented older writers that their works could be put into motion, but nah, they're going to go and make another 25 Marvel films, another 50 DC films, and whatever else that was successful back in the day.
Yeah, it's rubbish. I would say on adaptations, though, I'm all for adaptations of books that like haven't been adapted yet, just not books that I personally like, because
well, that's the thing.
I'm watching those and it's going to just make me sad.
Oh yeah, it's
My mum
so
read-
disappointing.
My mum read a book called The Lovely Bones, and it got made into a film. And she said before she went to see the film, Mark Wahlberg wasn't the right guy for this role. And I was like, whatever. I'm just going to go see it. So the two of us went to see it. I was like, this is pretty boring. Like, and I turned back to my mum, and she had the look on her face that I did when I was watching Dragon Ball Evolution in the cinema. I was like, oh, she did not like this.
See? Just don't do it.
Yep.
Well, what I think something that in terms of like adaptation that I ended up really enjoying, but I had to spread it. I had to spread reading the book and wait like years. I waited years, and then I watched the series The Handmaid's Tale, which I ended up really enjoying. I had to stop watching it because I watched it too close to the book, and like they changed something so like huge to me. I'm just like, nope, can't do it. I'm out. Like I won't be able to enjoy this right now.
Yeah, that's fair. That's how I feel about the Pride and Prejudice movie, which I refuse to watch because of just random changes that have been made, and I'm just like, but why though? So I will watch I will watch the 1995 series, but I don't acknowledge the movie's existence because why have you messed with the book so much? Like, why did you adapt the book if you're going to change it so much? Like, don't do it.
I mean, like there's a version of that where they also are vampire slayers. So I mean, it really depends.
Do a movie of that. Do Pride and Prejudice and zombies. That would be fantastic. But don't do Pride and Prejudice, Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, and then like put your own things in it and pretend it's the same because it's not the same.
They did do Pride and Prejudice and zombies movie.
Oh, did
yeah. That's the thing.
So I will have a look at
it. It exists. Yeah, it's a strange one because it's kind of like you have to be faithful to the source material, but you don't want to. I can understand some writers being like, yeah, you don't want to do the exact same thing because then it's kind of like a creative dead end and you're not really doing anything. But at the same time, if you don't want to do that, then you shouldn't be adapting it anyway, in a sense. So it's kind of like, well, you kind of have to be faithful just enough to kind of like do it justice, to kind of like not make any drastic changes, etc. And it's just like, yeah, if you don't want to do that, then don't sign up for doing this film. And if you're a director or producer being like, yeah, let's do this drastic thing that's going to be different because it's so like daring and exciting, it's like, well, you're going to alienate half the fan base. So if you're like going to change something from the source material, you have to be like really, you have to know what you're doing, because if you're not, then you're just going to piss off so many people, and it doesn't always work for the better.
Sorry. I was thinking what you were saying. It was just that I half agree with you because like because if you have to let adaptations like adapt and try their things, because like if you just keep the same story, everything will be Romeo and Juliet. But if you didn't have the adaptation, you wouldn't get something like technically West Side Story. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, oh yeah, I mean, it's like. But if there's a certain level
type of adaptation, I know what you mean, because West Side Story still has the beats of Romeo and Juliet pretty much down to a T. Everything, there's no drastic like Romeo doesn't die in the first 10 minutes kind of thing. It's those sort of changes that kind of mess up the story structure, whereas you can change like the setting or the vibe and the mood and the kind of like what the theme of the thing can be altered, in my opinion, but the core story beats should always remain intact.
Like the core themes, the core values, like the core messages.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
And with like Shakespeare though, like that's been done adapted, is that the word? Like millions of times. So of course I think it would make sense for you to start being really creative with it. That makes more sense to me. But in terms of just like for the first movie adaptation, if there's like there might be only ever one. If I'm a fan of the book, I would really hope for it to really keep close to the main, like the core appeals of the original story.
Yeah. Exactly. The first one should be close to the original as possible, and then if it's successful, then you get a bit more daring, and you're trying to tweak things here and there. It's like Sherlock Holmes is a good example of like a character that has always had a million different versions. There's like 12 different Sherlock Holmes adaptations since Arthur Conan Doyle has written the character, and each one's different. Some are more faithful than others, but on the whole, they kind of always go back to the core ideal of who he was as a detective in the 1800s kind of thing. They always goes back to what he was, but then every so often there's going to be like a daring new crazy thing. Even like, remember, like obviously Frankenstein, the story of Frankenstein's monster has always been adapted so much, and there's always been some dodgy ones, there's some really good ones, and there's some really interesting ones. And the Victor Frankenstein adaptation was a bit rubbish. And then there's that Adam Frankenstein, which is just as awful. But then there's always been some really good, great versions, like the stage version has been great because it went back to the source material, but it did it in a modern twist kind of like way, because they focused on the story and they just was like, yeah, the core points and the structure of the story is so good. We don't want to mess with that. We don't want to take this idea and put it in a blender. Otherwise it's not going to be the same thing. We just have to kind of like change just tiny little tweaks here and there to kind of improve it.
And if you do put it in a blender, like, be honest that that's what you've done with it.
Yeah. You kind of go on the outset and just go, this is a new version.
Definitely.
This is the problem, because the problem with it is that Hollywood only does what the audience. They follow the audience, and what the audience tend to do is they go after the stuff that is familiar, and they go for the stuff that has a name attached to it. So if you see, The Devil Wears Prada 2, you're probably more likely to see that than you are something you're totally unfamiliar with, because you're generally going to go, oh, it's a modern 2025 movie, therefore probably shit. So like you kind of don't have a lot of, inflation's going up. You probably don't have like an awful lot of disposable income to waste on potential bollocks. So you go with the stuff you're familiar with, and that's why they focus on so many remakes and shit like that, because it might sell. And like Disney's doing its best to like dissuade people of that notion, because they just churn out shit after shit after shit. And so they're doing good work whether they realize it or not. But yeah.
Your favorite Marvel Studios doing a top-notch job.
Oh yeah. If they don't, if they want less people showing up for superhero stuff, they're masters.
So on the topic of this film, I'd be intrigued to hear, if we have the time, other people's take on the relationship, because I wanted to, when Ben was talking about what Andy said about leaving her family and friends, like putting work above her family and friends, I completely disagree with the idea that she was in the wrong. I feel like they, especially because it's like, it's your first job, it's how you do in this job can really impact what happens with your career, and you're working for someone super demanding. Other than being busy, which she always said she was only going to do for a year, I don't think she betrayed anybody until maybe when she slept with Christian, but her relationship was already over. Like I really felt like her friends were not remotely supportive. And I think part of my take on it, and I was saying to Manuel, is that another kind of thing from the 90s was, not 90s, but like in the past at some point, was this idea that like as a woman you're intellectual or you're like a dumb airhead who's into fashion. And I felt like Andy was a bit of the kind of on the more snobbish end of that, when her and her friends were like, they thought they were above fashion, and her friends more had an issue that she got into it and enjoyed it, and once she let herself and kind of embraced it, and yeah, the body image thing, that was a problem, but her friends never called her out on that. It was more like nice shoes and jackets and designer handbags, but I just think they were really unsupportive. So
yeah, I think that's why people struggle. Well, that's why I struggle with Andy as a character, because like obviously everyone's kind of had that kind of thing, and they've they've not had a backbone in a situation where they wish that they had. Everyone's had that, but like I think that's where I struggle again with Nate and her friends, because like I said, her friends are all like they're all singing, all dancing when they're getting shit. But as soon as it starts becoming inconvenient for them, they're like, "Oh, fuck you, Andy!" Like, dickhead. And that's the thing. Like Nate's always like, "Oh, you don't you don't spend time anymore. We don't talk about anything, and it's just kind of like, I don't know, do you have a conversation with her about stuff? Like, do you ask her about anything about her job? Like, you let her bitch, but like, you don't show an interest in like what she's doing, and it's like, okay, so right, so I don't know, you're drifting apart, but like, are you fighting to kind of keep it together? Not really. So I'm like, well, does Andy deserve all the shit for this? Not really. And it's the same thing as like, so I just saw the bit where Emily Blunt gets hit by a car. But she's going like, you should have said no. You should have said no to fucking me over and like all this. And I'm just kind of like, I just want Annie to point out, we were never friends. You've never ever been nice to me apart from fucking yesterday, where you said thank you for things that I did for you, rightfully. So yeah, she didn't just threaten my job here. She threatened my future, ability to get like a journalism job anywhere. Yeah. So that's just my whole life torpedo because you want to go to fucking Paris. Fuck off. And there's also you wouldn't fucking hesitate to throw me under the bus. And she never said like doesn't say any of that. She goes, I'm shit. I'm shit. And it's like again, it's not something that's out of character, and it's not something that's like impossible. You know, I'm the last person that can go that people don't do that. But I'm just kind of like, it's so frustrating when there's just kind of like easy counters to these things, and like Andy just goes, yes, please kick me some more. Would you like the steel capped boots today? Like.
It does annoy me how there's so much recognition of like how powerful Miranda is. Like, oh, 1 million girls would kill for that job. Work a year for her, you can go anywhere. And then when she's like, I didn't have a choice, people are like, well, you did have a choice. And it's like, well, yeah, you did have agency, Andy. You do have agency. But if we think about her real life counterpart, Anna Wintour is the creative director of Condé Nast Global, not just editor-in-chief at Vogue, but like Condé Nast, the parent company globally. If she decides she hates you and wants to blacklist you, then she's more than capable of doing so. She knows everybody. And obviously we don't know Miranda's backstory, but like, so Anna Wintour's dad either founded or used to run the London Evening Standard. Like, she comes from a journalism background. She's going to have contacts throughout the industry, not just within specifically fashion publications. So it's like, no, this is a really big deal. Like, she can do some serious damage if she wants to. So yeah, these two things, like, you understand this, but you don't understand that it works the other way as well.
This is my whole problem with the ending when she's like, you're on your way to becoming me, and it's just kind of like, no, hold on a minute, you're an evil person. You didn't have to threaten my fucking like ability to get a job ever again. You could have gone do this and I will get you a dream job. But instead you decided to go, I will make it so Wimpy's is your only viable career option. And it's like, okay, what are you meant to do with that? Like,
like, that's the reason why. Oh no, you go.
Thanks. Something that really bothered me in the very end conversation between Andy and her boyfriend when they're seemingly coming back together and patching things up. They're talking about the decisions she made, the choices she made over her friends and her relationship, where I do like agree that she kind of didn't take on the full responsibility and accountability of her actions. But I do agree also that her friends and her boyfriend were being unfair as well. And that unfortunately what carried on to the very end where she was saying, I gave up our relationship and she trailed off, and then her boyfriend filled in for shoes, for clothes, for
Oh,
snacks, right?
do you not just want to clobber him?
That was completely unfair. That is
Yeah.
not like what she did end up kind of landing in a big situation she did not know the full weight of. But eventually she got the point that Miranda could be hugely pivotal in her career. That job could be a huge jumping off point. And so I think it would be um the the job of both people in that relationship, once that realization sets in of like how potentially big this job could be for her, to have a conversation about it. And they do show a little bit like, this is, she says that I'll do this for a year, but I think obviously they needed to be talking more about like how the potential impacts of this job will have on the relationship. And obviously completely fair. I get how the boyfriend could be frustrated and feel vulnerable and rejected with this huge change in dynamic, with like how much less free time she has. That would be a challenging situation for most relationships, I'm sure, but obviously that they lack some communication on like expectations for the next year. And
just him listening.
yeah. And also the scene that was very frustrating to me especially is literally after Andy is giving them hugely expensive items for free to her friends, then they go and steal her phone and won't let her
Yes.
answer. They knew it
Yes.
was like scary ass like in like monster of a boss. Like that was really inconsiderate and just like really frustrating. And yeah, so um that job, just like, you know, like I did have I was way more frustrated for the sake of Andy for the most part. I mean, she was in a hell situation of a job, but it could had so much potential for her career for the rest of her life. She was so young, like it just had so much potential. So like I think also the decision she had to make to try to make it home for her boyfriend's birthday, she like missed out on a potentially really helpful connection at that party from Christian. I think it was that his name? I can't remember.
Yeah, Chris.
She made that decision, and it's like I just like remember feeling so conflicted for her. I'm like, if they had been on better terms, I think she might have been able to get away with staying later that time, but they were already rocky, and just like that's a complicated situation. I get why there are frustrated people and some people like acting out in ways that I would expect better of them. Like it's a hard situation, but just like obviously very frustrating to see how it all pans out even towards the end. Yeah, so
I think it's just the amount of times they criticize her and go like, why are you even doing this? Like, why are you even doing this job? Who are you? Why are you doing this job? And the amount of times she goes, I am doing this because I want to be a journalist, and this is like the easiest way. Sticking it out for a year is the easiest way for me to become a journalist. I'm not doing this the rest of my life. I am just doing this for a year. Okay, I'm just sticking it out for a year so I can be a journalist somewhere fucking else, and I don't have to deal with her anymore. And it's just like the amount of times she says that to people, and then he's still like, you didn't show up for my birthday. Are you coming to? Are you coming to bed? And she's like, in 5 minutes, and he's like, and I'm like, oh, fucking grow a pair. Let's fucking have a conversation with your lady, man. Like,
yeah, they should have had conversation.
Yeah,
just talk to him.
I don't know how them as like a grown-up relation, and maybe it's because they are in their early 20s.
They're meant to be quite young,
but it's just that like thinking of our recent experience of me being in a horrible job, and it has an impact on your personal life. But we had several conversations on how to handle it, and how, do you know what I mean? Like, how are we gonna, like, how this is how it's going to impact us. How do we mitigate that? And what also annoyed me is he's a chef in New York. So balance of probability, he's working from 2 p.m. to midnight every night anyway.
He's more on call than she is, if anything.
I don't you at work.
His hours there would be mad.
You're the one who does unsociable hours, mate.
Yeah.
I also feel like he was kind of I know the film. One issue I have with the film is that the timeline is really not. It's not clear. Like I know that the benefit is obviously like the Met Gala, so that's the first Monday in May, and then fashion week and months. So there's couture week there's a couture week in July, and there's one in couture like shows in July and March, February time. But then there's also the normal fashion weeks, which is like September, October. So I don't know which Paris shows that she's gone to. But what really annoys me about him, why I just kind of always feel like he's had one foot out of the door for a while, is because when they meet up, he says, whilst you were in Paris, I flew out to Boston and went to a job interview. And it's like, but you broke up like just before she went to Paris, and she was not there for more than a few days. So when did you have the time to apply and set up this interview and like prepare to go there, unless you already had it in your mind that you were already out of the door? And I'm like, that's fine if you're plotting, leaving because you're not happy, but don't make it as if like it's her problem.
Dumps it
Like
on her. Yeah.
wasn't if you were able to go to a job interview while she was in Paris, which was a completely last minute thing, that means you would have gone on that job interview even had she been in New York still, or would you have not? Like, what was it depending on?
And when you come back, I hope she's on the sofa going, can't believe you.
Whilst you were away,
Go to bed. Can't believe you weren't here 24/7 to fucking give me hugs and kisses whenever I want them. My teddy bear is in the other room. Where were you?
Yeah, that's. I'm glad that I feel like we're all on the same.
Fucking hate, mate. I want to chuck him down a well.
There's a cinema therapy YouTube video about it, which I want to watch. I want to watch it tonight, actually, this time.
Oh, is it about being an emotionally manipulative child?
Yeah.
Well,
AKA
toxic or not, like
Nate.
theories. So I think it's going to be about how her friends are toxic. And I've not watched it because I've been wanting to watch it with Emmanuel. So now he's finally seen the film.
I'm ready.
Well, they could do a number on Miranda too. She is a piece of work. Oh my gosh!
She
Like
really is.
one of the like insane moments to me, of many actually, is just like how center of the universe she knows she is, and she just acts like it without any like thought, a second of thought or of consideration for anybody else. That's just like her zone. It's just it's madness.
It's funny to me that I think it was Christian called her a sadist, and then it's like that's a strong word. But then when Andy's like, Miranda, I've got to tell you something. You need and she's like so cruel about it, to turn around and be like, I knew the whole time. You thought I didn't know. I already knew. I'd already dealt with it.
You know
it's
what?
Like, you just you enjoyed making this girl run around Paris, worried, stressed out on your behalf. You enjoyed it. You had that did not need to happen in any way, shape, or form. Just you did it to see her scrub.
Talking about this has made me realise that Doug is the true devil, because he knows who Miranda is, and he still engages in the fucking about with her phone thing. He's the only one of them who's aware of the fashion industry. Like when they start.
Yeah, who's Doug?
Doug's the one from Mad Men. He's the other guy in the friend group. But he's
the one with the glasses.
He's the only one who knows who she is, and he still fucks about with her phone.
Yeah.
When she's like, "Oh my god, give me my phone back." He's still arsehole. Absolutely.
He's the one.
That's
He's the one.
At least Miranda's direct in being awful. He pretends he's your friend. Sorry, but
no, I'm just echoing what you're saying. He's the one that actually made a really good point in the bar. And yeah, when you're showing someone with gifts and blah blah blah, and then he made the point about, oh yeah, the fashion industry is this XYZ, and then like, oh yeah, he seems to be really savvy in everything that's going on. And that was before everyone really knew what he was. And it's like, oh, actually, he's probably the most like in on it than anyone else.
That son of a bitch, you prick, Doug.
Yeah.
When we watched the film, we spent way too long complaining / debating about the work that Andy hadn't done ahead of going into her interview, because obviously the film starts.
Yeah.
She's going into Elias Clark.
This is a journalist.
And I'm like, you haven't even looked up. You've applied at a publishing group, and you haven't bothered finding out what magazines are in their roster and who. But also, like, how don't you know who Miranda is? I'm sorry. Everybody who was interested in magazines, I'm pretty sure, and was looking for a job, knew who Anna Wintour was in 2006. Like, I'm pretty certain of that, especially if you're in New York. I feel like her orbit's going to be everywhere, whether or not you care about fashion. Like, how don't you know? And then even, like, after her first day, she didn't leave the office after work, go to a newsstand and buy a runway. She literally goes into work the next day and is like, how do you spell Gabbana? And it's like, you live in New York, so you've seen an ad. You've surely you know Gabbana are what?
I was like, I know basically nothing about fashion, and obviously I know about Dolce and Gabbana.
Like, also, like, phonics. Can you spell it out?
You don't need to have it spelled out. You can fucking do it phonetically. Gabbana. G-A-B-A-N-A. You're basically there.
At the very beginning, she had a lot of ineptitude. I mean, fair enough, she was young.
Yeah.
Inexperienced. And that was very frustrating for her to the like lack of like really core some like basic research. Yeah, that was frustrating.
Yeah.
Also, I wasn't gonna, but I am now gonna moan about this because it really annoyed me in the beginning. Where first of all, it opens on her brushing her teeth, and I say brushing her teeth very, very fucking generously because she does not brush her teeth. Does it for like about 20 seconds, and she barely touches, and she touches roughly about 35% of her mouth, and I was like, "Oh, you're disgusting." Also, she opens her journal thing, and she has to look up, and it goes Elias Clark, the place, the company she's applying to. And then it says like 8 o'clock, and I'm like, you presumably set your alarm for that, so you probably should know this is the time. And then it says HR department, and I'm like, did you need to check that? Did you need to check the company you're going to apply for, the people who are in charge of employment, and the time that you presumably woke up to? You don't even. It says an address then. I was like, no problem, but there's no address. Like it's literally just what she's doing to that, and I was just like, you didn't have to look
on her planner for that day. Like, you have no except for
That's it. What else are you doing today where you needed to write that down? Nothing. You've got a job interview at Elias Clark with the people who are in charge of employment at this time. Like, and you had to set your alarm before that. So why are you looking it up? And it's like it's to visually communicated to the audience. And I'm like, yeah, it makes her look stupid.
That's a very fair point.
Oh, I didn't want to bring it up, but
no, because it's also, it's like, because you knew this all ahead of time, but you didn't check the address. You're literally like, Elias Clark, 8 a.m. It's like, okay, so you're awake in your dress. But also, like, this is what we were saying, even like the lack of professionalism. Why have you had an onion bagel on the way to a job interview? I'm sorry, but don't you have like a mint in your back? Like, I just feel like onion's not the choice.
I think I think they were just like really very much setting us up to get an idea of her as this like really just like thrown together, fly by the seat of their pants, like frumpy girl. And but they just did it in a kind of like unrealistic kind of
the way they react to this,
cartoony
the way they react to her, it makes me think that they go like, it's like if you wrote her like it was me doing it. Like just picture me doing all of this, and it's like that's how they react. And I'm just like, nah, because I'd be like, onion bagel, let's go, fucking love onion bagel. And they'd be like, oh my god, who is this fucking person? It's like just imagine doing this and going like, who's playing Alec and Anne Hathaway? It's like, yeah,
The
great. Don't know.
The one question is if was the onion cooked or raw?
Oh,
Because that depends on whether I relate.
it wouldn't. It would been. It's baked into the bagel, so it would have been. But it's still oniony, even if it's cooked onion. It's still oniony.
Because
yeah.
when I left college, that period of 18 months between getting a job and leaving college, I tended to have onion sandwiches, but it was always raw onions.
I love onion. I love onions, but it is powerful.
I love it.
But like
I have
you talked about the onion bagel, I was like, a woman after my own heart. Hold on, was it cooked or raw?
Oh, I'm just imagining like Stanley Tucci going, did someone eat an onion bagel and then Pat just farts?
Oh, but that'd be too overpowering.
Bang! Take that, fashion industry.
Especially where I am now, where I can't even smell it, so I'm like, yeah, whatever. I can't smell a thing. I can't even breathe out my nose, so, you know.
I was going to make a conversation about the grilled.
I forgot you were sick, so I'm just like, wait, why can't you smell it? I was so confused.
Yeah.
I chose to believe he'd adapted to. He just can't smell anything.
That's what I thought you were saying. It's like I don't smell them anymore. I smell them so much. I don't smell them anymore.
He's like a creature at the bottom of the ocean. He's just adapted to the constant pressure.
I'm taking strepsils. I'm taking Lemsip. I'm taking some other stuff to help my congestion. I'm taking like breathing sticks. Inhaler things to stick up my nose just to try and clear some airways. Before the call, I ended up with a bowl full of hot water and getting some. I can't remember what it was. It's something that my mum uses. It's some sort of oils that you put in the water, and it sort of helps clear airway. I was probably in worse condition between my dinner and the call than I was all day. Like in terms of breathing, so yeah.
I'm glad you've made it.
Yeah.
Thank you for the effort.
Yeah. I was like, well, I haven't been here for like a month, so I was like, I can't just itch out of it because I've got a little head cold.
And you liked the movie,
so. Yeah. Oh, I love the movie. Like, I think if it was a movie that I didn't like, I'd probably still turn up, but it would be more of an excuse for me not to turn up.
Shall we do favourite scenes?
Yeah.
My favourite scene is when Emily Blunt gets Regina Georged. That's obviously that's recency bias because it just happened to me.
I didn't even think of it that way, but oh man,
hearing it said in that way is perfect.
Rob's gonna watch this back and hear you say that, and then hear my laughter and just piss himself as well.
I've got two. So my first one is just a very brief moment, and it's when Andy called Emily to say about the clothes, and it's how, and I was just like 10 out of 10 acting from Emily Blunt, because the way that she immediately turns on those tears to then blink them away, I was like, nice. But my favorite scene is the scene when Andy throws her phone into the fountain. And like usually in film club, I make the effort to not pick like the triumphant ending moment as my favorite scene. But as someone who's been a PA, I'm kind of notorious for my phone doesn't ring. My phone has not been off silent, except for my boss and Emmanuel until more recently, since COVID, because at my old job, my phone would ring so frequently that I would, if I heard my phone ringing, I would immediately start feeling anxious. So just for sheer relatability of throwing your phone into the fountain, I was like, you know what, that's my favorite scene. That's how I felt on my last day in December when I walked out and I blocked Steph's number, and I was like, I don't have to answer her phone calls ever again, because I've had days where I'll have like 8 phone calls by like midday. I don't have to do it again. It's just my favorite moment. But yeah, they're my scenes.
Nice.
I have one specific one. It's when one of the many times that Miranda was reasonable, when she wanted the Harry Potter transcript for her daughters, and Andy was like running around trying to get it and was struggling, and she was like, I've given up. But the bloke that she asked help for managed to get hold of it, and she just drops it in front of Miranda. It's like, there you go. And then Miranda's like, how are they supposed to share? It's like, well, I've photocopied both and you've got the original, so they're up yours.
Yeah, I love that moment.
I wish that was the actual dialogue. I wish that was it too.
It's like, this showed Andy being basically playing Miranda against herself. So like, this is the way Miranda always treats other people, and she's given her some back, and I really like that. I'm someone that actually quite likes.
Well, I copied them twice, and they're on the train, so
I quite like Anne Hathaway. Like she's not an amazing actress, but like she's decent. I thought this was but in the film. Like obviously when she got called fat and ugly, she showed a little bit of, I suppose you could say a little bit of rage, because like she showed off how upset she was at the time. But that one I thought was a little bit mean, so I was like, I don't really like that scene so much. But this one in particular, I was like, yeah, this is like sticking 2 fingers up to your boss. This is how everyone wants to be when their boss is a dick to them. So yeah, I love that scene.
Yeah, it's a very good moment.
oh,
Yeah, that is definitely one of my favourites. I think
even I like that.
Yeah, my favourite before that, I suppose, was the antithesis of that. So it should have begun Me First, Then Pat, because the first time when Miranda really shows you what kind of a person she is, and that's when she literally criticizes, Miranda criticizes, what's her name? Anne Hathaway's character's jumper, and the whole attire, her whole vibe. And she just literally just spews all this crap about, oh yeah, that certain shade of blue, it's not even blue, it's a whatever it was. And she just literally, she just literally lays off this information and just says, by not caring about the fashion industry, you're actually saying that you blah blah blah, because everything you're doing right now is directly a critique of that kind of thing. And she kind of made her feel and look so small. She kind of like looked her up and down and just said all that, and she just didn't know how to react. And that's kind of like the first time this is the person I'm dealing with. This is my boss. How the hell will I cope with someone like this? And I thought that was just really good writing in terms of how she's represented as a character, and it's just like, yep, this is the film we're going to be in for. This is the person that she's going to have to like fight, so to speak. So it was a very like, she is a piece of work. And like we said before, it's like, there's not really people in an idealistic world, people should not and do not exist. But as we've seen in the past 5 years, people in power can be like this and are like this and can get away with being like this because they are who they are, and the money talks, basically. And so someone like Meryl Streep's Miranda is very, very realistic and credible to today.
Yeah.
Basically, corporations.
That's one of my favourite scenes for a completely different reason, Ben, because the scene, the cerulean speech is iconic not from because of how she makes Andy feel, but what she says about the fashion industry. Because if there's anything in that movie, I think that you would kind of take forward as like, or like tell somebody, oh, well, in The Devil Wears Prada, it's a movie about fashion publishing. But that one specific speech is the most like, that's like the truest thing that's in the whole film.
I like it as well because it's the first time where I thought like the sitting on Andy was kind of justified because she's just kind of walked in and just gone like,
Yeah.
so stupid. And she's like, hang on. And I was like, yeah, okay, fair enough. You were justified in being a hard ass there. Like,
Why she felt
don't
like
just
she
wander into a new job and just be like, you're all stupid.
yeah, who does that? Like you're in a meeting and you don't understand what's going on, but it's your second day on the job. Or was it her first day? So you're gonna laugh out loud in a meeting when you already know who you're dealing with and what the people are like. You stood there before you even worked there, seeing the chaos and the fear. So you're gonna have a giggle because you don't get it. You're having a giggle because you think this. You think you're.
Can you imagine you go into a job like this and you've got Miranda Priestley there, and then like this lady goes, "Oh my god, yeah, these two belts are just so different," and then you actually genuinely go like, "Just doesn't know they're both blue."
But the buckles are completely different. One of them's a kind of more like that kind of shape, and the other one's like it's like no, they are different.
Yeah.
Well done. The leather part is very similar. I think they're slightly different widths, but like also like it's like an eye for detail, not a thing. Like I'm sorry, I know you're a journalist, but I'm sure you need to be able to identify visual differences in things. I'm sure that's like a skill that's still useful for you at some point in time.
Yeah,
Like,
like
what do
that
you
was
mean?
you were
really hard to understand. And she was being like, I get that like Andy is not obviously we've already established she has zero idea about like fashion, but there are certain basic things like I think she was being really rude. I could not believe how rude she was being to just like audibly chuckle, like she was being mocking. She was snorting.
Yeah.
That was a
Yeah.
snort of derision. So, oh my god, it's the cheek of her.
Now,
But
now that you guys have brought that up, all I can think of is that Simpsons meme with Chief Wiggum's son at the back of the bus.
I'm in danger.
I haven't seen that episode, but I know that is
Same energy.
yeah, that was a very satisfying scene. Like Miranda like properly chewed her out and with good reason.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that improved her character as well, didn't it? It made her character's growth kind of like, yeah, this is the point where I need to take this job seriously and need to be like, yeah, I need to fight fire with fire.
It was
I think that's where I wanted more from her. I was like, I feel like I need a bit more justified ranting because it's like I don't know if anyone's ever seen like The Thick of It, but it's like one of Peter Capaldi's one, and he's like a spin doctor for like the UK government, and he's really angry, really sweary, deeply unpleasant, but you kind of you get it. He's quite compelling because he clearly cares about what he's doing, and like despite the fact that he is horrible, like there's just a quality where you're just like, I need to see more of him just yelling at people because like he clearly cares about what he's doing, and I think I needed more of that from Miranda because that apart from that kind of thing, there's a couple bits sprinkled in, but it seems she gives a lot more of a shit about like just insulting people rather than going like, this industry is really fucking cool, and like
that scene really
a lot of work goes into it, and if you're going to be dismissive of it just because when you don't even fucking know anything about it, like I'm gonna fucking chew you out. Like,
yeah, that scene really showed that like Miranda got to the position she got to with good reason. Like she deserved to be there, not to the extent that she took it. I think she took advantage of her position for sure. But I think she earned like her super technical position. But yeah, I could quickly say I have a couple of favorite scenes. One more like lighthearted and fun, and then one more. Actually, they're both fun. That's just my vibe. So like, but part of why I was able to really enjoy this is because I've never gotten into like the fashion industry per se, because I really have never liked the whole like the business end of it, the fast pace, and all the just like the vibe of just like the like it has a lot of dark sides to it. The fashion industry has a lot of dark sides. But what I've always been drawn to is just clothing and like the aesthetic and art of it, and like styling and outfits. That gives me so much joy. That always has. So what really, really just like took me to cloud nine was when Andy had her first makeover, and she just looked fantastic. I think like her hair, her like the styling of her outfit. I think this movie did a great job in styling. Like even though it wasn't any of most of it was not my personal taste, I still think like most people just look fantastic. And so it just like, and to see the reaction of just Emily seeing her for the first time, and just like her jaw dropping to see like the change that Andy went through.
Bless you.
I think
Thank you.
and also just like there's something so satisfying about a makeover moment. I love that. It gives me it's always been really fun for me to see that happen. So that was one of my favorite scenes. The other favorite scene was near the end. And it was heartwarming for me because this is after Miranda proved to Andy that she wasn't entirely a heartless monster. And she actually helped Andy get her new job. And this is when Miranda's getting in her car at the very end, and they have like an eye contact moment, and Andy smiles and waves, and Miranda just glares at her with eye contact. But then you see her get in the car and just have a smile to herself, and like you just see like that like small warm human part of her that's still left. And then but then she immediately just like snaps back to this like monster cold scary woman and says go, like why aren't we moving? And it just made me laugh to see her like flip like that. Yeah, those are my two favorites.
Just a quick one. Rachel's just scored the film.
Oh, she scored it. Let's see.
Yeah, all once.
No.
Harsh. No.
And she's seen
So
the
I'd
new
imagine-
sequel, right?
Yeah, I imagine a Rob review's coming in soon as well. Because they must have watched the film when they were out there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Maybe on the plane. Because you could have just
I mean,
watched it on Disney Plus.
Oop, she's changing
Oh,
them.
she's changing it.
No, that's me. That's me. Definitely.
Wait, what?
That's how I get the formatting on it.
But I saw some scores changed. What do you mean?
Yeah, so the formatting's not carried over. So what I do is I copy the scores, and then I copy the formatting in, and then I put the scores back in.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Rob's scores are in.
Oh, very
Good.
funny.
Good.
This just in turns out it's good.
10 out of 10.
Kent Brockman here.
Is it would it be easily explainable? This is a bit of a tangent due to the scoring, but like, would I be able to learn how to reformat it when my formatting doesn't work?
To be honest, all I do is I just copy one that's already working, and then I just paste it in.
Oh, okay.
So that's the
what I do. Score it and let one of the smarter people do it. Usually Alec or Rob.
To be fair, I'm just doing a low tech dummy approach.
Oh, that's whatever works.
If I can do it, you can do it.
Bless you, Simon.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Did everybody?
No.
Simon, did you do your favorite scene yet?
Oh, no, I don't think so. I mean, has everyone else done how to go right?
Oh no, I'm on a bench.
My favorite scene is the Sure. All right. It's the beginning when everyone's rushing about, and I thought it was a really good way of setting the scene to really help the viewer understand, just like the viewer's in the same place as Andy at that time. It's just like, whoa, is she really that bad, man? I see what we're in for, like, kind of thing. I think it sets it up really well, that scene, just prepare us for what's coming. But yeah, I like that. Just everything was going, oh yeah, put this way, just everything. It was quite fun. I thought.
It's like the big collective red flag. It's like red flag, run, run, and she just stands there clueless. And it's like, see, you were warned. You saw the chaos.
You just reminded me of one of the saddest moments in this movie, and it happens in other movies but okay, so it's when Miranda gets Andy to come up with a steak in like 15 minutes, and she doesn't even want it, and then Andy gets so frustrated she throws it into the sink with broken glass and it's garbage. I hated seeing that. That was so sad.
Yeah, it was sad.
I hope
What a waste of a good steak.
I know.
That would have been great though. She'd have been like, "Fuck you."
I would have loved that. Just like hold it and be like,
So, well, more for me, I guess. Just like the other bits.
Oh, yeah, it actually reminds me of one of my favorite scenes. It's when Emily Blunt is actually in the hospital and she finally gets to eat something. That was something. There was something about it where she just like cracks open that like pudding cup and she's just like, yeah, you know, I can't believe you just do this to me. You took my chance for Paris, and she just like can't like come for eating. And I was like, at least you're eating more than just like a block of cheese. I mean, that's like, you know, it's fine. You got something inside of you now. It's like not just a block of cheese. It's probably better for your health.
It's the way she was like, carbs for Christ's sake, whilst chewing on bread. I'm like, you know what? We've not all been there, but like sometimes you just need to eat bread and cry. Like,
yeah. That's definitely like one of the funniest scenes. The favorite scene, because it's like sort of like attitude and understanding of how the character is when Miranda is in Paris and she's like in Andy's room or she's in the hotel room and she's like somewhat disheveled and she's still going through the seating plan. And she's just like, you see her disheveled, she's just like human for just a few moments, because essentially she's like, in the end the message is like, yeah, things happen and things will continue happening around me, but I still need to finish this magazine. And it's just like, that's a bit sad. The world's gonna spin with or without me. And I need you to do your job while I do mine. And it's just like, that actually makes you very human. And it's just like on just for a moment, it just makes you like a small amount of empathy before she snaps back into, I need to become, you know, hard-ass, like cold woman again. And it's like, that's sad. That's sad.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really sad. It's also quite impressive. It's kind of a testament to how she's run her magazine, that it's like, the show must go on, boom. Anyway, the problem is we need to figure out where to put Donatella because no one's talking to her. And it's like, okay, sure. Just, you know, was worried about your children and you're getting divorced, but okay, let's just crack on. Yeah, that's the scene that, like, one of the reasons one of the things I like about the film is how it shows in that kind of position when you can't quite hate your boss because you've seen when like you have access to like your boss's personal life like that, and you see their really hard moments, and you also get a really good sense of like what drives them and the sacrifices they've had to make to get there. It's like, yeah, you are a horrible person, but like as you said, Simon, there's just that little bit of empathy that is just like, I can't quite hate you, not because I saw you in your dressing gown crying, but because I understand why you were in your dressing gown crying and what you then still had to go and do. And yeah,
it's like she's gotten to that point, not without paying something for it. Like she has lost things to get there.
Yeah,
I would have enjoyed it though if like Andy was just kind of like, no, you do deserve that. That you absolutely deserve that. That good, yeah. You don't deserve happiness. You're awful.
I think because Andy, I've remembered it in my head as that scene being after her and Nate kind of have their breakup kind of talk. So because I've misremembered it going into watching the film, I was like, and then this scene in my head, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that scene's about to happen, and Andy and her partner have just split up. But obviously, those things happen at like a few days apart. But I think Andy handles it really well. I think that's probably the most honesty you get from Andy's character as well in the whole film, because it's not this is what I think I have to do. This is like, it's just her basic instinct of how to treat people comes out there as well. She's just like, I'm really sorry, look, we can cancel tomorrow. Which I think it's nice to see what she's like without, like, underneath it all.
Yeah.
Underneath everything.
And Andy's able to be that empathetic and caring even after being all that mistreatment is pretty impressive too.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Has everyone been?
It's fun.
You're right there, Alec.
Oh, I just got to the bit in the gallery of fucking so annoying. She's just like, I'm just gonna go to this random gallery in New York, just this random gallery, and then she's like, well, me and Doug have to go elsewhere. You know, old slippery Doug. Me and him need to go over there. Then she's like, okay. And then Christian like fucking jump scares her, and he's like, we're gonna go to Paris. And she's like, ugh. Like that's what, and then he kisses her, and then Lily in this whole fucking room with all these people just happens to be looking right at her and just like, hang on a fucking minute. You're getting kissed on the cheek by blonde handsome men. And she's like, I don't get you anymore, girl. You're a bad. Don't like you. You have a fun time in Paris. And then she walks off, and then Nate's standing right behind her, and he's like, oh, you're going to Paris. I'm like, what's happening? Am I in like a hall of mirrors here? Like, what are you?
Yeah,
who are you?
I was gonna bring up. I'm glad you brought that up, because like that's one moment where I thought didn't make much sense at all. The level of reaction of her friend and like how she responded to seeing, like, fair enough, seeing her like giggly and smiling, being kissed on the cheek by a handsome man. That's some gray area. But her like um like fiery anger in response to that, like, it was out of proportion to me, and I think she was going way overboard.
Maybe you should, maybe you should go and ask. Maybe you should go and just go, hey, you wanna tell me what happened there? And she can go, well, right. This guy's got the hots for me, and you know, like, sorry, I mean, it's not. I'm not saying it's great, but like, yeah, like you said, Lily could like, again, have a conversation, but no, we're dealing with fucking children who can't have conversations with each other. They can just go, oh my god, you're evil, you're bad, you got kissed on the cheek. Oh, fuck you.
That's the thing that I don't understand. I think probably of all the characters in the film, there's a moment where I don't get it, where she's like, for 16 years, I've known everything about that, Andy. You've changed. It's like, wait, this is you'll have seen her change a whole lot, because 16 years is a long time. First of all,
I haven't known Rob 16 years.
What's going on before you're just angry about it? Like, I don't understand. If I had seen, like, it's not as if they were like making out. He kissed her on the cheek. If I saw my friend who was in a relationship be kissed on the cheek, I'd be like, who's he? What's going on?
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
Just
I
ask
probably
the
wouldn't think a lot of it. People, I could go, oh, I take it they were French. Like, I don't know. This just doesn't mean fucking anything. Like,
They did have a vibe. I will give the friend that. There was a
It was her lingering smile, but she was,
there was more to it. But,
there was a vibe there.
But not enough where I'd go, I've known you for 16 years, but now some guy's kissed you on the cheek. We're not friends anymore. Just like, fucking hell, man.
Yeah, she was acting like personally betrayed. Like,
yeah.
Like the man that just kissed her was like her own boyfriend or something. Like, that did not add up at all.
No, it didn't.
No. That was...
That was a bad moment.
Especially since, like, she was one of the friends that was not supportive at all. And the opposite. Like, she got that gorgeous, expensive bag, and then, like, immediately after she took part in trying to sabotage that phone call for her work. So very frustrating.
And it's also like, so you're a photographer or a gallerina or whatever job it is. You're a person, you've designed this photography exhibition at this gallery, and everybody's at your opening and drinking champagne. So
including Christian Thompson.
Right. It's not like it's
Christian Thompson's here.
An opening. It's a major thing. But how dare your friend do what she needs to do so that her career is going as well as yours is going? How dare she? Yeah, she's a terrible friend.
How dare she?
Then it was, who is she? Who is she?
Who is she? It's just the speed run. It's just kind of like she just runs into like the perfect sequence of like shit people, like at the absolute worst time. It's just kind of like Christian's got no reason to be here, like whatsoever. Like he is an artist and probably goes and visits a gallery when there's an opening, maybe. Like out of the whole, you're telling me this is the only gallery that's opened in the whole of New York City tonight, and he's there, and I'm like, okay.
I feel like it makes sense for him to be there.
It's okay. It's okay.
He goes to gallery openings, and it's just sheer coincidence.
It's in no way impossible, but it's just he happens to be in the same room, and he's like, "Hey, Andy," and I'm like, "Fucking excuse me!" Like that's not even like remarked upon. And then like, yeah, she's just like her friend who's probably schmoozing around with fucking everybody in the room. She just happens to go, "Andy's getting kissed over there." And it's like, oh, that was really fucking unlucky. And then she's just like, have fun in Paris. And she turns around and Nate's like, oh, you're going to Paris. And it's like, you're all in on this, aren't you? You're like the fucking Viet Cong. You're just hiding under the ground and you're just popping up. Just to make this scene a bit quicker. Like, go away.
Yeah.
Can't get over this.
Yeah.
Sorry. That was
one thing that I sorry.
No, I was just gonna cap it off by saying that moment was one of the, and also I will add on top of that, like in terms of acting, I think that actor for that character wasn't the best either. But honestly, acting wasn't a star in this for me anyway. So that's that.
But it's funny because I had really misremembered my enjoyment of Giselle's scenes specifically, because I remember saying to Manuel, Giselle is terrible in this. And then when we watched the bits that she was in, he was like, wait, she was fine. Like,
it wasn't that bad.
What was that? And I'm racking my brains. I'm like, there must have been somebody in the past that I hated who reminded me of her. So I decided that she was terrible because I hated whoever she reminded me of. And clearly I've blocked this person out. But I was really pleasantly surprised to find that I didn't hate her this time around. I don't think the performances were... I think when I first... Like, in the past when I'd watched it, I felt like there was some people who were fantastic. and some people who sucked, and now I'm like, I feel like most people were kind of middling.
Yeah.
Like it was fine.
I mean, like the nature of this genre and the characters that they're playing, it wasn't a huge challenge, I would say. So that's why, like, I will briefly, I won't go into a huge rant. Ben has heard that enough. But when it comes to Anne Hathaway, I felt like I was like, because I've been historically been so critical of her, and whenever I watch her with a hawk eye to see like what is it, like what doesn't work for me and why. And so like in this movie, actually, I was like all right with her, and I think it's due to the fact that the role wasn't very challenging. It wasn't like hugely like not a huge range. And so just to briefly say, just like I just have a problem with in the things that I've seen of her, she just doesn't have that like fully committed like ring of authenticity to me, especially when she's doing something a bit more challenging and emotive. So that's just all I wanted to touch on. I wish more for somebody who gets so many jobs and so much acclaim. Is just all I have to say about that. But yeah, she didn't do awfully. Just like Giselle, I was watching her. I'm just like I couldn't remember how well she did, and she's not an actor, and she did pretty dang good for someone that's not an actor. Yeah.
Yeah. I was pleasantly surprised because I was like, brace yourself, this is actually terrible. And it was completely fine. I'm glad I was wrong about that because that would have really killed it.
Yeah.
Oh,
What is it now?
I'm watching more of the same. It's just when he comes up and he's like, "Oh, you're going to Paris," and she's like, "Yeah, it just happened." And he's like, "Oh, I thought Emily cared about Paris or something." And I just wanted to be just like, "I have a job. This is not a fun thing for me. I have a job. You fucking prick." Then she's like, I know you're angry about your birthday party. And he's like, what am I, 4? And I'm like, are you? Because you were.
Hella gaslighting her when he said that. He did make a big stink about it. But to be fair, birthdays are important, like, and relationships are important. It's just like, but he was trying to tell her that he didn't really care about the birthday. Yes, he did.
Yeah. He was clearly upset. That's why he sat on the sofa staring at the
I'm
TV.
not upset. I'm just sitting in the dark by myself, looking sad. I'm gonna go to bed. But I specifically waited up so that we could have that interaction and you feel worse.
Yeah.
But I'm not upset. I just waited up
Not
so
upset,
that I could be upset with you.
Yeah, he waited up for her to see, so she could see him stomp her to bed. Like, I'm angry and mad. I'm going to bed now. That was it.
But he's not upset, guys. He said he's not upset. He's not.
What is he? What am I, 4?
Apparently so. Apparently you are 4.
Oh, I want to punch his face.
He is a really unlikable character. Yeah. I think I probably hate him the most. After Lily.
I think we're killing Patrick. Are you okay?
No, I was laughing.
Oh, okay.
laughing and trying to breathe. It's fine.
Oh no!
Oh dear.
I've actually got a bit more breathing out. So I think as the call's gone on, it's breaking a bit.
Wait, what? Are you?
It looks like my cold is breaking. Yeah, it's all good.
Okay.
I'll probably have a nosebleed in about an hour, but I'll be all right.
Hopefully you'll be asleep about an hour.
What happens with me is when I get a heavy cold and like my nose gets blocked up really bad. But when it starts to break and I start being able to breathe through my nose for longer than 10 minutes, it tends to bring on a bad nosebleed. Don't know why. It's just one of those things. But yeah, it's good because I'm back in work Monday. I don't want to have another day like today. Today was a nightmare.
Yeah, you need some good rest, and you probably need your inhaler more now, right? Because you're sick.
Not so much. It's only if it's in my lungs. But I had that lung infection like a month ago. This is all the face.
Head.
I think I've been taking some tablets for sinus as well, so I think it's just all my sinus is all bunged up. But it looks like sticking my head near a hot bowl of water sort of helped as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Good old herbal remedies.
They work. A lot of them work very well.
Yeah, it's better than the stuff that the big pharma gives you. Plus, I think talking about this film has also picked me up as well.
Well, I was starting to worry, you know what, because like I have asthma as well, and so like you said you're laughing, and I know I could get an asthma attack from laughing too hard. So
Now, to be fair, my asthma is pretty well controlled these days. Like, I haven't had an attack before. I'm trying to think now. What am I, 35? I think I was like 22 the last time I had an attack. And that was only a small attack. But I was last in the hospital over it when I was a teenager. So I'm trending in a good direction. Like, they reckon that I won't be asthmatic in 5 years' time. So that's positive. But I'm not going to live as if it's gospel because I wasn't born with asthma. So it's my chances of losing asthma is like less than 5%.
okay. To be honest, I don't even know. You're teaching me new things. I'm not entirely knowledgeable about the condition I have myself. I just make sure I have the inhalers when I need them. So
that's it. I bring a bag to work. I have an inhaler in my pocket and 2 in my bag. So whenever there's an issue, I will have one nearby. Because you just, like with asthma, you can't be certain.
Yeah. We gotta be able to breathe.
Yeah. If you want me to do the job, I've got to be able to breathe. I wasn't able to breathe today, but still got the job done. So yeah, who knows?
Does anybody have any more notes on the movie?
More like this.
I do have like it's just like trivia stuff, but just before that, Ben, what's the song "Don't Forget to Breathe"?
Crucifer.
Yeah.
Crucifer.
Oh yeah.
Don't forget to breathe. It's a good song. Yeah, Pat. Don't forget to breathe.
And the plus point ahead of that was 2 weeks ago. I got a filling done on my tooth, and it lasted 4 days. 4 days ago, I got it redone, and it's still there. I thought I was going to come back on a call with still a gap, but you know.
Yeah.
But in June, if the filling's still there, I think I've got another appointment on the 2nd of June. I've got to get a crown on it, so it will really toughen it up. I think it's like a metal crown. I don't know how it works.
The crown.
I think it'll look colored, right?
Yeah, something like that. But basically, the dentist mentioned it to me this time. Make sure you don't eat foods using the front teeth, because that's a new thing for me. Because like obviously you're biting down on something. I use my front teeth to bite through, and then my back teeth to chew. But I'm assuming most people do. But now I'm having to put it in through the side of my mouth, which is an adjustment. But seems to have helped. But I'm still, to be fair, I'm not as self-conscious about it this time around. The first time, any time I ate, I was like, this feels like it could break any moment, and then it ended up breaking off. This time, fingers crossed, I've not felt that way.
Well, good luck.
Yeah, that's what I say to myself every morning. Good luck today. Let's hope you still have a tooth when I come home.
Oh, that made me sad.
It is my own fault. Like, I've had a high sugar diet for most of my life. So I've got diabetes and got bad teeth out of it. But I broke the tooth by dropping my phone on my face about 7 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
And because I was too scared of the dentist, which I hadn't been to previously since I was 18, I never got it done. And the break was only slight, like probably noticed from previous films that you could probably see a gap, but it wasn't that noticeable. And then obviously ate a bacon roll, and then half the tooth ended up in the roll because I hadn't got it seen to. So at least the nerve is dead. So like whenever I go to the dentist and he takes a tooth out, I don't feel a thing.
It's a good thing you didn't drop a Nokia on your face. You'd be missing more than
Oh, man, that would have given me a broken nose. Yeah, so that's the story of my old tooth. That's now mostly fake, just full of filler.
Yeah. Good luck.
Well, hopefully, in a few weeks' time, it will still be the way it is. So, at the minute, I'm not getting my hopes up because obviously it's a difficult one because it's those two front teeth are the thinnest teeth that you have in your head, and obviously the filling can only really be that sort of thickness. So as long as I am careful, it should be fine. But yeah, it's sort of keeping it conscious in my mind. Like if I'm eating in the morning, I've got to make sure I don't bop it, and then end up losing it, and then I get annoyed again.
Yeah, that's a huge bother.
Yeah.
Emmanuel, you said you have trivia?
Yeah, I was just going to say a few things. Not much, but one that's quite famous. I realized it's like, oh, I know this even before I saw the film. I don't know where I heard it, but Meryl Streep told Anne Hathaway when they first started filming, "I think you're perfect for the role, and I'm so happy we're going to be working together." And then she paused and was just like, "That's the last nice thing I'll say to you." But in the way of like, obviously, she's going to be staying in character. She's going to be doing a role. Yeah, I'm not going to say anything else nice until we're done, basically. The fashion, I say fashion person, the person who worked on the costume and everything got an Oscar for this, but it's also one of the most expensive costuming in just film in general. Yeah.
She also did Sex and the City.
Oh, she did Sex and the City?
Nice.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking about the things code. I'll tell you after it. But yeah, obviously you can look up other stuff afterwards. But yeah, I'll let us all go to sleep since it's late.
Simon, what's your pick? Is it time?
No. Oh no, SpaghettiOs. Here we go again.
I was thinking about it. Right. So for this particular actor who's from Canada, and he hasn't been like popular for a while until he remade a film. He's popular again now. So I'm gonna choose his this Canadian actor. I'm gonna choose his very famous fourth wall breaking film. I'm gonna choose Brendan Fraser's George of the Jungle.
Oh,
fuck for that.
I thought you were
George of the Jungle.
Your face was so perfect. Your face was so perfect.
You watched that
I was so scared.
video, right? As soon as you said that, you saw a look of excitement from me and a look of dread from Alex.
So perfect.
I was so scared when you said Canadian actor. I thought you were doing Keanu Reeves.
No, it wasn't that. It was the way thing that got me.
Oh yeah, Keanu is fine.
Yeah. I thought you were gonna say like, oh no, he's gonna pick Deadpool. No.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say.
I also wanted you to go for Deadpool.
No, I was going to go for George. I think I said this about. I think I said this about last year. I was going to choose a lot of like fourth wall breaking films for the sake of it. But you picked a series of unfortunate events. I was like, that was like one of the first picks. But I was like, you know what? I'll pick it this round for what I started. But I'm gonna pick like other films afterwards. But it's gonna be a situation where we're gonna have 2 Brendan Fraser movies in this first round. So it's like, yeah, it's good. It's this.
These are my 2 main Brendan Fraser movies.
I'll be honest. This is a difficult round for me to pick my bonus point because there's obviously The Mummy, which obviously I wasn't on the call for. I did leave a voice note about it. So if you haven't listened to it, I vaguely went over it, but yeah, I grew up watching Indiana Jones and wanted something sort of similar, and discovered The Mummy. Absolutely loved it. The first 2 were great. The second one had really bad CGI at points, but it was sort of that sort of adventure thing that I looked for. Brendan Fraser was great in it. So were the other actors, and I think it goes against something that Alec usually picks because I think fun isn't usually his first port of call, but there sort of has to be elements of other things in it, rather than just be like, oh, this is just a fun film. That's a very me pick. But yeah, it's an essence of a fun film. It's the acting's decent, story's decent, but it's just out there for you to just sit there and turn your brain off and enjoy. I mean, so like, I very much appreciated that one. I may as well just give a brief thing for previous films as well. Ben was before that, I believe. The Elephant Man was a brilliant film. The other film that went with it, I wasn't too keen on. I think I took a similar outlook to Simon. I think it might be something I need to watch again in the future, but I just didn't quite get on with it. Whereas The Elephant Man had a lot to it, and I always felt myself feeling sorry for him because he obviously looked the way he did, and people just using him to make. That bloke was using him to make a quick few pounds. But you could see the sort of mental state of the character, and I thought David Lynch did a really good job capturing the essence of that film. Who was before that? This is what happens when you're not on the call for a. Right, so The Mummy, Different Man,
Emperor's New Groove.
Oh, New Groove. Sorry, Corey, I didn't really take to it, but I knew I wasn't going to take to it. I think it's another one of those films. It was like the one that Alec picked not that long ago. And was it Disney? Yeah, it was Disney. I think if you either don't watch it when you're a kid or you don't take to it when you're a kid, then when you're an adult, you find it very difficult to appreciate it. Animation, I thought was fine. Voice acting was fine, I guess. But yeah, I just didn't really take to the characters. It was going through the motions the whole time. So yeah, I didn't really enjoy it. But you know, I can appreciate that it's got something for other people and younger audiences as well. But at the end of the day, the 2 films I didn't like in the previous weeks still have a strong place in film club.
Nice.
And now we're here for some silly popcorn eating fun for my pick.
This one, I'd be very surprised now if I don't score it well. Because I love it. I used to even sing the theme song as well. Don't get me to do it now because my voice is shit. But
yeah, I just do wonder though because I remember really liking this as a child, but I wonder if it's gonna be like the same thing for Goonies as it is for Rob, you know, where I'm gonna watch it again and as an adult and we're like, oh my god. stupid child me was stupid. And it was just like, oh, you know, it'll be one of those things to be like, oh no.
But the thing with the Goonies is what I've noticed is people who watched it and enjoyed it as a kid still like it now, but see how silly it is. But if you never watched it as a kid or you didn't like it as a kid, like with You Grew and some other sort of animated or films aimed at young people, you just can't get on with it at all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think it's a situation by situation. I think for like movies geared towards children, I think an adult seeing it for the first time may or may not like it. I think it's depending on the movie. Yeah. It's been a while. I haven't seen George in the Jungle for a really long time. So.
Yes, same here. But I was about to say, everyone's watched it at least once, right? I hope.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wore out the VHS.
Did you say you wore out the VHS?
Yeah. To the point that do you know the tape inside the VHS? It got tangled in the VHS player back in the day.
Oh, Christ.
So my mum had to buy a new VHS player as well, and didn't buy another copy of George of the Jungle because the same thing had happened again.
All right.
I'm quite excited. George is a family favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, this will be a throwback for sure.
Yeah, good old throwback. I think it's on Disney Plus. I'll just post it later.
I watched it recently. It is on Disney Plus.
You watched it recently?
Yeah, sometimes it's just like, what do I want to watch? I'm just like, fucking George of the Jungle.
Nice.
Any Brendan Fraser film, you can't go wrong.
It was really bad, actually. It was like the last time we were at Eb's grandparents. It was just me and Eb. We just had control of the remote and just like, let's put on George of the Jungle. And then our grandparents came home and they're like, I find them quite humorless generally. And they came in and they were still as humorless as I remembered, but me and Eb were fucking pissing ourselves. It made it kind of funny that they were just sitting there. It was just like,
all right. Okay. So yeah, that's my pick. It's not. I don't know if that's considered. I don't know if this is really the type of fix I usually pick, but I think is a good way to start the year. Oh, start the round for me with this year. The year for us is like I've been a bit delayed. I think we're still in round one technically of the year.
Yeah.
A bit delayed. Yeah.
It's been a hard round, but there's a lot of cinematic masterpieces.
There's 9 of us, so you're talking what 2.25 months to get through a round now. So yeah, we've only really been like 2 weeks, ain't we? So it's not that bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad. And I will be back by the time we actually did this call, so I can definitely be here.
And Rob and Rachel should be back as well.
Oh, they'll be back for next week.
Yeah, so I think they're back. If our calculations are right, they're back on Wednesday.
Nice.
But they won't want to come back. Like, who in the right mind would want to come back from the Caribbean?
Alright.
I mean, I've basically been living through Rachel's stories for the last week.
Oh, that's sweet. That's kind of like, I want to be drinking like rum and coconut milk.
I just want to be sitting on the beach in the Caribbean. The rum and stuff.
I mean,
we need that.
I heard it's still bloody freezing in the UK still.
This is
it's so cold.
My dad was snowing.
I think you mean fucking lovely.
Did you say
last week was like?
Yeah, my dad lives
in like 14 degrees.
Snowing, and he's like, but he went to the allotment to check on like how his plants were doing. So he's like, yeah, it was really warm, and then it was snowing, and I think everything started to die. I was just like,
Wait, it's still snowing in the UK? What?
Sorry,
Well,
Vince. Well, he's up north.
From where we live.
Oh, wait. Oh, right, yeah. Sorry. But still,
I have to say it's grim up north.
but it is March, right? So it's like,
It's brimming
So in where I am in Canada, I know everybody thinks like all of Canada is covered in snow, but that's not true. But
Not your side, anyway.
like it depends. It depends on from year to year. But some years we do get snow in the spring. Just depends.
You have a pet bear though, don't you?
I do have a pet
No, you're-
moose though. A moose. I have a
Oh, fuck yeah! Mooses are
Okay.
cooler.
That's cool.
But
it's just as scary.
you got some hockey to get back to.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Maple cookies.
if you go down south, you've got what would you call it? An orangutan in the White House.
Oh,
Oh dear!
yeah.
Don't equate him with orangutans. Orangutans are really peaceful,
I just
cool,
can't
smart
find-
animals.
What's a dumb animal that is orange?
Let me Google dumb animals.
First result, Donald Trump.
Garfield dumb? No.
No, go.
Oh, what?
No. Garfield's kind of smart, actually, relatively.
I did just get a bunch of tabby cats.
He
What
knows
animals
the fact
are
that
dumb?
he enjoys sitting at home eating lasagna. That's the kind of life I want.
Yeah. Whereas Trump wouldn't like lasagna because that's immigrant food. That.
Well,
Jesus Christ. Okay, I think I'll go into that there. I need to actually, because technically I need to get up and do some stuff now because
Oh
it's
yeah.
like,
Good morning, Simon. Good morning.
yeah, so
Good morning.
Good morning from me to say good night for you guys. All right, I'll speak to you guys. I'll speak to you
Yes,
guys
yeah.
later, right?
Good evening.
Yeah, see you
to me.
later.
I'm still up and about.
Oh, good evening as well. So, all right. Take care.
Take care, everyone.
latest.
Good.